Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. So as you can tell from the title of this video, we are going to be testing out a Natasha Denona Sunset palette dupe today. The dupe palette is called Yes Please and it's made by Colourpop. Colourpop is an American brand which is hardly available anywhere else on the world because they don't have an official retailer outside the USA. So I actually had to go on Depop and pick up this eyeshadow palette there, and I had to pay a little bit more than the official price, but I was okay with that because this was literally the only way I could have the eyeshadow palette. This is how the Natasha Denona Sunset palette looks like. It's absolutely gorgeous and massive. It has 15 shades inside and each shade contains 2.5 grams of product, which means 37.5 grams of product in total. Just in comparison, that's almost 4 times of what you get in the Modern Renaissance palette. This is how the palette looks like inside. Absolutely gorgeous. I love these colors. I love the aesthetics of this palette. I love absolutely everything about it. This was the one eyeshadow palette I really wanted to have from her, and now that I have this, I definitely want to have the gold palette as well, because those are the two palettes that I really gravitate towards. Her other eyeshadow palettes look gorgeous as well, but these are just the color themes that I absolutely love. So as you can see, the pans are absolutely massive and the whole eyeshadow palette is absolutely massive as well. The names of the shades come on a separate transparent piece of plastic that I don't really ever use. So when we're going to be creating this eye makeup look, I'm just going to point at the shades instead of telling you the names, because I don't really like that piece of plastic, to be quite honest. And if you're not aware of it, these Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes are extremely expensive. The Sunset palette retails for £111 or 129 US dollars, which is a lot of money. On the other hand, this teeny tiny Colourpop Yes Please palette retails for $18. This is how the palette looks like inside. As I said before, it is very tiny. The pens contain 0.85 grams of product each, which is about 3 times less than the Natasha Denona pens contain, and you also only get 12 shades instead of 15, so technically you have 3 shades missing. I feel like in today's eye makeup look I managed to find the correlating shades for each color I wanted to use, but generally speaking you will have shades missing. For example, they only have 1 gold shade whilst the Natasha Denona palette has 2. The second one is a bit more rich than this one, and obviously there are 2 more shades missing as well. One of them is the white satiny color, but instead you do have this almost like bone color that you don't get in the Natasha Denona palette, so you do get that extra shade here. And like I said, there are other shades that you don't get in this palette. Whilst the Natasha Denona palette is made in Italy, the Colourpop palettes are made in the USA. They are both cruelty free, and the Natasha Denona palette is also paraben free. The Colourpop palette doesn't make any mention about that. I'm gonna now insert my swatches for you that I made on my arm. As you can see, not every single shade from the Natasha Denona palette has a shade in the Colourpop palette. As I said before, it's only 12 shades, and one of those 12 shades is not actually in the Natasha Denona palette. So technically you have 4 shades missing and you're getting an extra one. Apart of that though, the other shades that you do get in the palette, although might look slightly different, they are very similar in performance and in finish. And I had very high expectations based on my finger swatches when I swatched the Yes Please palette. And honestly, now that I've done this eye makeup look, I think I wasn't wrong to have high expectations. This eye makeup look turned out actually amazing, and I feel like I love the Colourpop side more than I love the Natasha Denona side, and that is crazy. If by any chance you couldn't tell, This is the side that was done using the Colourpop shades, and I just feel like it has more contrast, it has more depth, it has more color to it. I really love how it turned out, and it didn't need extra effort from me to do this eye makeup look. It's not like I was going back and patting on more and more shades on that side to try to match the Natasha Denona side. I had to make exactly the same effort on the two sides, and for $18, I think that's not bad. Without further ado, I want to jump into creating this eye makeup look to show you how I created them, and I really hope that you will agree with me that this Colourpop eyeshadow palette is absolutely amazing. I will definitely have more Colourpop eyeshadow palettes on my channel very soon because I fell in love. Until then, let's jump right into this eye makeup look so I can show you how I created this. And once we're done, I'm gonna come back here and tell you my final thoughts about these two palettes. As always, I'm gonna be using the more expensive palette on this side of the face, which is going to be the Natasha Denona Sunset palette. And the cheaper palette on this side of the face, which is going to be the Colourpop Yes Please palette. And because we're going to be working with some darker shades today, I want to already add some shadow shields because I'm not sure if we're going to get any fallout. This is the first time I'm using any Colourpop eyeshadow palette, so whilst the swatches I've done already were really good, I'm not sure about the fallout yet. So just in case, we'll put on some shadow shields. And I'm not even going to set the eye primer with any lighter shade today. I'm going to go in straight away with the dark shade because we want it to have a good grip to the skin and we want the dark color to be really intense. So straight away I'm taking this cool dark brown shade on a pencil brush and I just start applying it. As you can see, even on the Natasha Denona side, with this pencil brush I am getting quite a lot of fallout. This is not a blending brush, so I'm quite used to getting a lot of fallout when I use this one. It was really easy to build up this dark color, but honestly I wouldn't expect anything less for this price point. Anyways, I'm gonna take now a blending brush and I'm gonna slightly blend it out, and I'm gonna try to blend it a little bit upwards. What I really love about Natasha Denona eyeshadows, especially the matte ones, is that even though it lets you blend it and make it look a bit more diffused, the shadow itself doesn't budge in the sense that it's almost as dark as it was before I started blending it, and it just makes it so much easier to work with. So as you can see, I just took a bit more of that color and I also added it to the outer half of the eyelid, and now I'm going back and blending it again. On the Colourpop side, the darkest shade we have is called French Kiss. It looks a lot warmer straight away than the other color. The other one is more of like a black brown shade. This one is much more of a chocolate color. Other than that, it seems to build up quite easily, and I don't experience an extreme amount of fallout either. It's pretty similar to the amount I was getting from the other palette. I'm gonna take a brush to blend this. Honestly, this is great. Yes, the color is different, but for the price point, it's not blending away, and that is amazing. The other thing is, the more I blend it, the more it seems to turn cool tone. So it's more and more similar to the other side, which I'm really happy with. Let's just go on and apply a bit more, just like we did on the other side. Add some to the outer half of the lid as well. Maybe it's just that first application when it's not that opaque yet that it looks a lot more like a rich chocolate brown shade, but once you build it up and you start blending it, it looks more and more similar to the other side. Okay, now the next thing is going to be a lighter, richer shade. So I'm gonna take this brown shade now. It's almost like an orangey brown color, and I just want to run this shade through the outer skirt of that dark brown color to, one, blend it a bit more, and two, turn it a bit warmer, but only on the outer edges. God, this Natasha Denona palette is so easy to work with. On the Colourpop side, the shade that looks the most similar to this is called Big Cocktails. So again, I'm gonna take some of the shade on the brush I originally used for blending, and I'm gonna run through that orangey shade on the edges of the brown. That actually looks super similar. What do you guys think? I think they look identical so far. I'm so impressed with this Colourpop palette. I wish we had Colourpop in England. I'm gonna go off camera now and I'm gonna prepare the cut crease, and then we're gonna apply some beautiful gold shade on top of the cut crease. Alright, so as you guys can see, the cut crease is ready. Now we want to apply a gold shade on top of it. In the Yes Please palette, the only real yellow gold shade we have is called Butter Cake. So we need to find something similar to this in the Sunset palette. Here we have two gold shades, and I feel like the lighter one is going to be more similar to Butter Cake. So this is the one we're gonna go with. And when we apply it, I want it to look almost like a golden foil on the eye. So first I'm gonna try to build it up as much as I can with my fingertips. And then I'm gonna use a brush to try to fill it up. And when I'm done with that, I will probably go back with some Inglot Duraline and just add an extra layer on the top. So let's start with the Natasha Denona side. Okay, so this is as far as I can get with the Natasha Denona shade without any Inglot Duraline. Now I'm gonna do the other side as well before we would add any Duraline, because I want to see what they're able to do without any help. So now I'm taking Buttercup on the other side. Okay, so Buttercup seems to be a bit lighter than the Natasha Denona shade. However, it also seems to be more opaque and more easily buildable, which is a bit of a surprise to me. So now, as I said, I'm gonna take a bit of this Inglot Duraline and add it to the shade to see if it's gonna help build it up a bit more. Alright, well, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's popping more, but it does look more like a foil, so I'm happy with that. I'm gonna do the same thing on the Colourpop side as well. Oh wow, the Colourpop shade is definitely popping a lot more with the Duraline. So now that the gold shade is done, we want to go back a bit more with this dark shade and darken up the outer corner again. We're going to leave it like that for a second and jump over to the Colourpop side again. Just like before, on the Colourpop side, we're taking the shade French Kiss. Alright, now to help us work these two shades into each other a little bit more, we're gonna need to take not a transition shade, but something that's in between these two. So I decided to take this orangey color here in the bottom row, and even though it is a shimmery shade, I'm gonna try to add it with my pencil brush. This is gonna definitely warm up this look a lot. But we're not adding a lot of it because, like I said before, we want to just transition these two shades into each other. So it's almost like I add it and then I will add some of the other two shades on top of it. So it's gonna kind of disappear and just help us create that transition. I'm gonna leave it like that for now. And I'm gonna jump back into the Colourpop palette and take the shade Chauffeur. I don't really know what's wrong with the shade Chauffeur in the Colourpop palette, but this seems to be the driest shade in the whole palette, worst pigmentation, and even though it's supposed to be a shiny shade, it's really dry and hard to even pick up with your brush, which is really surprising because the other shimmery shade was so good, and generally speaking the shimmery shades in this palette are really good. Nevertheless, I did manage to get the color payoff I was looking for, but I did have to really dig in there and go back a good couple of times to pick up more and more of that color, but we got there at the end. Alright, so like I said before, now we kind of want to work this orangey shade into the other two that we had on the eye already before. So now I'm gonna take some of the dark shade and some of the gold shade, and I'm gonna kind of work them on top of this shade to transition everything into each other. Starting with the dark one and then taking some of the gold one as well. So as you can see, that orangey color is hardly even visible now. And now I do the same thing on the Colourpop side. First take some of the shade French Kiss, then take some of Butter Cake. Now I'm going to go off camera, remove these shadow shades and clean up a little bit underneath, and then I'm gonna be back to finish this eye makeup look under the eyes. Alright, so I cleaned up under the eyes a little bit. There's not gonna be anything special under the eyes. I'm just gonna take the dark brown shade again and add it to the outer half of the under eye, connect it to the rest of the eye makeup look. And then I'm gonna take that lighter brown shade as well that we used before, and then I'm gonna add that to the inner half of the under eye. And just repeat that on the Colourpop side. So first I'm taking French Kiss, add it to the outer half and connect it to the rest of the eye makeup look. And then I take Big Cocktails and add it to the inner half. Now for my inner corner, in the Natasha Denona Sunset palette, you don't have a really shiny white color. You have a white color, but it's more like a satin finish. And in the Yes Please palette, you don't even have a white shade. So instead, I'm gonna use my Jeffree Star highlighter in the shade Ice Cold. I love using this in my inner corner, and I'm literally just adding this to both inner corner, and that's it. Now I'm gonna go off camera, apply some eyeliner, lipstick, mascara, finish the rest of the face, and then I'm gonna be back to give you my final thoughts of these two eyeshadow palettes. Okay, so this is the finished eye makeup look. I think in real life they look technically identical. On camera, the Colourpop side looks a bit more yellow because of the gold shade popping more than it does on the Natasha Denona side. The Natasha Denona side I feel like looks just a bit more subtle than the Colourpop side does, which is absolutely crazy because it's so much more affordable. Don't get me wrong, I still love my Natasha Denona palette. I just question my decision spending so much money on an eyeshadow palette when I can literally get the same effect from a Colourpop palette. But I feel like this just goes to show how good the Colourpop eyeshadow palettes are. And I think I just made the decision to go on their website and pick up a couple more of their eyeshadow palettes because this honestly seems to be amazing. So I want to have more, and I honestly hope that very soon we're gonna have an official retailer for Colourpop products here in the UK. It's a beautiful eyeshadow palette. There was no fallout, there was no fading. Everything worked absolutely amazing, and I really love how this makeup look turned out. That's it from me for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because I would love to have you here. And until next time, take care of yourself. I will see you very soon. Bye.